Bob Hurst of Truth Report.
Hey, I'm Zanzi.
My name is Joe Emilio.
This is Kushikwetu Laseko.
This is Chris.
Kanisa Jam here.
I'm Eliane Bosov.
My name is Ronaldo Host.
This is the Summer Sambit.
I'm Beverly Schaefer.
I'm Gareth Cliff.
My name is Warren Holden.
Someone has to step up.
It's about time that there is an opposition to the woke
Leftist globalist.
Sunsets and skies so blue, mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave and weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people above it all. We know it all.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
All right. Friday roll call. All right, Neanderthals on the left, canines in the center, right-wing podcasters on the right, of course, and all aspiring car guards, please be seated in the bowl section. It's time to do roll call. Please raise your hand if you are a Neanderthal. Yes, I can see several of you that clearly applies to. You need to improve your hygiene. You need a haircut. That hair coming out of your ears is not very attractive. I realize it's a standard for Neanderthals, but you really should trim that. It's kind of off-putting to Homo sapiens. For the canines in the center, you make a little too much noise. The incessant barking, unless somebody's breaking in, there's no need for you to constantly be yapping. So I'm going to ask you to be quiet. As far as the right-wing podcasters, I mean, what do I do with you guys? I mean, what do we do with you right-wing podcasters? Everyone knows you're evil, you're all racist, you're homophobes, you're transphobes, you're just, I don't know, you're germphobes, I don't know what, you're all kinds of phobes. So for the right-wing podcasters, just sit down and be quiet. For those aspiring car guards, welcome. This is really all about you guys. We're really here for you. So welcome to the aspiring car guards. Welcome back on a Friends and Only Family Friday, folks, also known as F Around and Find Out Friday. We will see what Trumpster has in store for the world today. Nothing so far, but we shall see. We've got lots to talk about today. I am wearing kit from South Africa. This is from the Shunton Shack in Bot Revere. Yes, folks, down in Western Cape, Bot Revere. We did a meet and greet there. In fact, we think it was like almost my last one, my next to last one. Yep. So yeah, fantastic. And a lot of viewers from there, surprisingly. Little Bolt Revere got a little people watching the program. So yep. Anyway, right. Leona is an inspiring car guard. Cool beans. Chris Ehlers, you're back. I was wondering about your health there. I was about to write you. Yeah. So any space for psychos? No, we refer all of them to other people's podcasts. I don't want to call anybody out by name. Welcome, folks. Welcome, Pigs Rule. Okay. Yeah, I think that's meant as an insult, but I get your point. Where are the ANC sanctions? They're in 1985, where they were, where they asked for them, 1985. Right. Okay, folks, welcome back to everyone. Just a second here. What's this? Oh. Somebody wants something from me. Bye-bye. Right. Friday. Welcome back on a Friday. It's always a pleasure to have you join me. For those interested, when this is over, you'll be automatically redirected over to Ronaldo Host program. If you hang around that long, it'll take you automatically if you want to catch it. For wearing my shirt. Aha! There you go. I was wondering if you were there. There you go. Check it out, folks. You probably assumed I was never going to wear it, but I have so many things I brought back from South Africa and only so much time in my hands. It took some time to get around to wearing this. So there you go. There you go. Yes, but you guys should check it out. It's in an old rail station. It's a nice little place to get something to eat. The food was pretty good. The company was nice. And I was very generously welcomed there by wonderful people. Samantha thought she did a statement of interest, and she never did. Samantha, did you previously send in an email to the PRM? If you did, you might be in their hopper because of that. So, yeah. Gemini likes the shirt. Okay. Show us your butt. Wow. Okay, cool. Lots of people in the chat that aren't usually chatting. Good to see you there. Looking sharp. Well, thank you, Ingrid. Yeah, love Boat Revere. Yeah, it's a place I had just driven by many times and never stopped. I had no reason to stop there. I didn't know anyone there. There's nothing going on for me there. But then I met some lovely people from there. So now I had a reason to stop. So I think that in future, I'll stop at least for a coffee or something, as I'm passing through. Yeah, because, we get to Hermanus. And now after Hermanus, I say that I'm going to have to keep stretching further east. We had some nice experience in Stanford there. It's kind of quiet, but it was still nice down that way. Hansby. Okay. Nev says, well, I do have some admirers. That's true. I also have some detractors and also some people whose feelings get hurt. I'm sorry if your feelings get hurt, folks, but I'm direct when it comes to this program. Now, it's not the same in person. I don't embarrass people publicly. So I had a situation where I went to the Veterans Club last night, and one of my former officers, who, by the way, resigned without even bothering to tell me as a commander, I had to find out when I came back. Anyway, so he wanted to complain to me about something. His wife was using the microphone, and we do it every evening at 7 p.m. We stop. We ask everyone who's able to stand. We ring a bell, and we have a minute of silence for our fallen comrades. And so we do that every night at 7 p.m., every night that the place is open. She was doing it for the bartender that night, and it was rather brief. And I came out, I was out, and I waited, and it only lasted a few seconds instead of the usual 30 seconds to a minute. And like, gosh, that was brief, wasn't it? I was joking and kind of laughed. And she laughed. I guess she didn't know how to respond. But last night he approached me and said that her feelings were injured because she volunteers her time, and the only time she gets to talk to me is I chewed her out. And I said, well, I didn't chew her out. I jokingly said it, and she laughed. So how am I supposed to know that she took offense to it? Anyway, I went and talked to her last night and told her, I said, look, I don't chew people out in front of crowds. I mean, unless it's like, corrective action has to be done. Like, if you're pointing a weapon at people in the wrong direction, I'm going to yell at you, okay? I mean, if you're on the range and you're turning around with a rifle, you're going to get yelled at in front of people because that's just stupid. But when somebody does something, or if there's something that's been done wrong, leaders very rarely will do it in front of other people unless it's a very serious, egregious thing. Had I had an issue with her about that, I would not have said something like that there. I was joking, and she laughed, and I laughed. I would not have done that. I would have pulled her aside when no one noticed, because a lot of leaders do this too. After it happens, they go over and they grab someone. Everybody sees, ooh, so-and-so got in trouble. I don't do that. I find an opportune moment or an excuse and make like I need to talk about something else, and then I talk to people. And then the dressing down happens in private. There's nothing to be gained by embarrassing people publicly unless they're just asses. If they're leftists, it's okay. Embarrass them publicly because they're brain dead. Their brains aren't functioning properly, so you need to embarrass them publicly. It's the only thing that gets them excited. David Furry, thank you for your extended membership there. I appreciate that. Yeah, so anyway, I apologized to her, and I said, there's no reason. I mean, I don't think I need to apologize. I didn't do anything wrong, but people infer incorrectly all the time. Last night we had the same thing happen. People inferred. I made a blanket statement about people's obsession with Epstein, and somebody took it personally. So personally that they sent me, they said leave my channel. Then they sent me an email last night. I responded to the email and politely, and I even offered that person an apology, even though I did nothing wrong, but that's fine. I understand that people's feelings are hurts. But anyway, you can't please everybody, and you shouldn't try because you'll just go insane. All right, first straight up people, you know what is what with them. Yep. The cannibal tribe in New Guinea wants 5 refugees per week. Well, their palate needs to be filled. You are an absolute true leader. Not many people do that. Well, thank you, Sync Master. Yeah, there aren't many true leaders out there. And true leadership frightens people because they're not accustomed to it. They're accustomed to subterfuge, deception, dishonesty, and outright lying and theft. That's what people are accustomed to in their leaders. Many people aren't accustomed to good people of moral character who lead and put others first. So, Otto George Bussingwaith is back. Welcome to you. What's wrong with pointing out the obvious? Yeah, Darty, but some people have their personal, deeply held feelings. For instance, the gentleman wrote to me and said he was upset about my temper. What temper? There's no temper. I mean, I honestly got to say that, newbies, recent arrivals, recruits on the channel think they've seen me angry. Think that I've been angry. I don't know what you're watching. When I'm angry, thunder and lightning, Donner and Blitzen. Yeah, Donner and Blitzen. Yeah, when I'm angry, I'm angry. Oh yeah. I found out last night that you met my American boss and P at the Bloomingdale's meet and greet. Bloomingdale's. I'm sure you remember him. He's a very unique person. Bloomingdale's. What is Bloomingdale's? You mean, I'm Janine. I'm sorry. I don't know what Bloomingdale's is. I know there's a department store in America. You mean Bloemfontein? I'm sorry, but that was a couple years ago. Please elaborate because I'm not sure what we're talking about. Devon Groenewald, how did the doctor visit go? It went okay. I had x-rays taken in case it's bone related, which it could be. He checked my range of motion, which is dramatically reduced. You can see that. He listens to me, which is nice. And I told him the story about how the physiotherapist said, well, how do we treat this normally with surgery? I'm like, no. What are the other options? Anyway, so we got to part and he says, well, we'll schedule for an MRI as well. We may not need the MRI, but we'll schedule because it has to have approval from the insurance provider. I have to have an insurance provider because I have to pay insurance. As a combat veteran of 36 years, I'm supposed to have free health care, but that was all a lie. So I have to pay for insurance. And insurance gets me care at the military facility. I could go elsewhere, but it gets the care at the military facility. And at the military facility, I waited 7 weeks for an appointment with my GP. And then I'm only allowed to discuss one medical ailment, not the 4 things that were bothering me. So we scheduled another appointment for a phlegm buildup that I've had for a few months. And I'm supposed to live with degraded quality of life now until that appointment in the end of September. That's when that appointment is, the end of September. September 22nd is when that appointment is for the phlegm issue. I'll be dead by then. Gosh, it's unbelievable. The system is so broken. They're down to 3 physicians. They had 8 physicians when I started working at the War College. They have 3. The front desk has 5 places for reception, people to man it, and there was no one manning it when I arrived there yesterday. The prescriptions, because I needed a renewal for my my antibiotic for the Rocher, so I picked up a renewal. The machine, you go and scan your ID card, your barcode, it comes up, you confirm it's you, then you get a ticket, like you're at the butcher, and you wait till they call you. Well, that machine, it says it's open from 8 a.m. to 4:30. When I walked over, there's two machines. Both of them were closed. It said this kiosk is closed. What am I supposed to do? Anyway, yeah. So an MRI will be scheduled. I have to wait for the insurance provider to give the authorization, and they don't call me. They send me a freaking. I might send me an email or a letter, but I get it like a week later in the mail. So I have to go online and check, and I have to go through this ridiculous authentication process every time using an app on my phone and a password. And anyway, so if I can even find the website, which is Byzantine. And then he said, so the important thing was this. I can refer you to a orthopedic surgeon, or I can refer you to a sports medicine specialist. And I said, well, what do you think? He said, well, the orthopedic surgeon, of course, is going to be inclined to want to do surgery. And the sports medicine guy can't do surgery because he's not a surgeon. So they're going to try to look for another solution. And oftentimes there is another solution. And I said, well, Doc, you're right. If you're looking for a nail, you'll find a hammer. And that's what a surgeon will do, because that's what they get paid to do, surgery. So they're going to want to cut. So I don't want to be cut. And I want to see if there's another solution, if it's something that can be solved. So he's referring me to a sports medicine physician. So I have to wait for that authorization too. And by the time that comes in a week, I'll try to schedule it. They're probably booked all over the place, which means I'll probably have to wait till October, November. Yeah. So anyway, what happened with May? Somebody said, it's great to hear. I don't see. May says showing us your bot. That's okay. I always thought I'd done. Okay. All right. So I'm back to that now. Back down here. Did I miss someone? There's looks like another membership there. Whoa. Okay. Oh, David already got that one. Okay. There's Hendo. Welcome, Hendo. Fung Wan Wannabe is back again. Good to see you, Monday Fun Roy. Lee Mother's Love. Welcome back, Niv. She couldn't approach you and say you hurt her feelings. She sent her husband. Huh? Good evening. I don't know. Epstein sounds like a stiff drink I can order. He sounds like a one of the characters from Welcome Back, Kotter. Horseshack, Vinny Barbarino, Freddie Boom Boom Washington, and Juan Epstein. Yeah, Shireen, based right. You've been here a long time. You're an OG. People don't know me angry. Filter between my brain and my mouth, says James. No filter. You're a mild gentleman compared to the old days. Yeah, Flesh and I've definitely mellowed compared to the rants we used to do. Absolutely. Ronaldo! Ah, okay. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you. I didn't know that was Bloomingdale's. Okay. Thank you, Ronaldo. Welcome, Ronaldo. How's it going? By the way, folks, as I mentioned at the beginning, at the outset of this broadcast, when this is over, you'll be directed to Ronaldo's program. If you want to go watch that, automatically you won't have to take any action. Go check it out. I played that intro to the Truth Report earlier, in which I was briefly shown. They asked for a video. I gave them the video they wanted. Then they changed their theme, and most of me was cut out. But anyway, so I showed it up. Once had a big punch up because for no reason he tried to embarrass me in front of the whole company. Oh, your colonel. Yeah, well, that just doesn't work. Sent me an email, says Lawrence. Okay, what are you doing? Sounds a lot like gaslighting. Oh, jeez. See, this is the problem. When people troll, it's just comical. First off, gaslighting about what? We're not even talking about any issues. We haven't talked about the news. We haven't talked about anything. We're just talking about my medical visit. How am I gaslighting on my medical visit? See, it's almost like it's a bot. Humanoid cell, are you actually a bot? Are you an automated bot? You complete some of the people. Yes, exactly, Anne-Marie. Almal und Mittag con Chris. Yes, well, thank you, Angie Brand. Appreciate that. Kevin Morris is here. What are you saying? Cupcake's not welcome to visit USA. What are you getting that from? Funny how some people will be safe when zombies walk on Earth, but don't waste your time on them. I'm not having any drinks because I'm thinking about going out later on. Erica, thank you for your membership. Erica Suti. Old age has to put the lights in my eyes, so not so good in the dark anymore. Sorry about that, Culinary Pirates. That sucks. Alan sent me an email on a case in the district court in Washington who is plaintiffs. Yeah, you talking about the $400 million lawsuit? I guess I'll have to move the Epstein research into a file marked between unicorns and underwater submarine. Don't say USO. That's United Services Organization. That's where performers like Bob Hope and others perform. I watched a USO show in Hanau at Fliegerhorst Kaserne. Sounds of Success, SOS, Weekend Girl. Oh my gosh, they were awesome. That must have been 1992, I think it was. SOS. Weekend Girl. Go ahead, have some fun on the weekend. I love Weekend Girl. SOS was great. Sounds of Success. Caitlin, welcome to you. Tame Impala. Chris Ehlers, Yanni Boshoff. Okay, let's get down here. Bloomingdale's is a small village shopping center in Walmart. I know Walmart. That I knew. I didn't know Bloomingdale's was the name of that place. Thank you, Janine. Yes, I'm sure I met him. Thank you. Corey says, sorry, that I have an expressive and emotional way of speaking. A lot of people don't know how to handle it. Well, Corey, I find that it typically inspires a lot of people, and that's why I have this approach. The gaslighting super chat. Thank you for that. Yes. Okay. Good evening, Chris. Your 2 Oriental Cat subscribers are watching and want the Bugger Off Bunny put on appearance. Well, the Bugger Off Bunny is always present, courtesy of generous folks who make a little animation for me. So here he is again. Hey, Bob. There he is. Look at him. Walks along the bottom of the screen and pops up and gives you his middle finger. Here he is, the Bugger Off Bunny. Keeper of peace. The Colonel's right-hand man. Carrots in the pocket. I wouldn't want any other way. My late husband was a no BS sort of man, a perfectionist. Before he went to a farm, he was first in the railway police, then SAPS, and I daren't go wrong. Well, Colonel needs to start back a buddy to raise money for stem cell injections. Fix you better now. Okay, stem cell. That's an interesting approach. What else we got here in the chat before we get to this news, folks? You ain't seen a bugger up until you try to get insulin for your diabetes. I'm bedridden now, and they won't take a prescription. Well, that's just horrible. I don't understand that, Lee. I'm sorry to hear that. I need to get this hip fixed so that I don't wind up with diabetes. With a sedentary lifestyle, I don't want that. That's not what I want. I'm not close to that. Humanoid Cell said, you said people are upset because your temper and attitude towards viewers, but then you turn around and gaslight them about their observations. Gaslight them? I don't think you understand what the word gaslight or the phrase gaslight means, humanoid. Gaslight? If you're making an argument, I criticize them or question their observations, that's fair. I don't gaslight anybody. Gaslighters are bullshitters. I'm not bullshitting anybody. Show me something I've said that's not true when I was serious. So you're not a bot. You are answering questions. Don't get angry, just get somewhat passionate. Yep. Okay, I telegrammed you Kenneth Mishuay's details. I have his details. Thank you, Erica. I haven't reached out to him, but thank you for them. Unless maybe it's changed. People's numbers change. If you heard from that rooftop guy again, I have not. Anthony from Blair Rock View. My brother said he got an email at work today instructing them that no white men will be employed or promoted in their company henceforth. If I were him, I would make sure that I save that email and I would forward it to people I trust. In fact, if you want to get him to forward email to me so we can look at it forensically. Yep. Turning 59 in October, but I already decided that I'll count till 20 before getting cross from now on. Krista, that's an approach. I'd like to let all the Afrikaners how truly am the way you are treating this government. I don't mean to sound political. It's not nice. You can sound political all you want, Niv. It's fine. Leon, here is a gaslighting super chat. Thank you for that. I'm behind here in the chat. I need to catch up. Okay. Bob equals Footsec Buddy. Hey, Hendo. You seem to work every day, so I'm not sure about Happy Friday. Well, thank you, Mark. I do work 7 days a week, whether I'm happy or not, whether I get paid or not. I work 7 days a week. When I'm not doing this, I'm researching, reading, and writing, and or doing consulting, or doing volunteer work for veterans and things like that. Always working. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand that or appreciate that. If you watch Professor G, would like to know your thoughts on his advice. Darlene, yes, I know Professor G. He popped on a few months back and made a bunch of videos, then went quiet and people freaked out, and I reached out to him, explained to me what was going on, which is what my analysis was. It was correct. His employer asked him to take a step back, and then he came back again, and then he made some videos on history in South Africa, and I said something. I said, well, that's odd. I didn't know that he was a historian. I mean, interesting. He was doing refugee stuff. He's an asylum lawyer. And then some people took that and tried to create friction between us by saying, oh, he's attacking you, saying you can't make videos about history. I never said that. People make videos about whatever the hell they want. You want to make a video about Tai Chi? Go ahead. But my question was, I didn't know he was a historian. And so I didn't criticize the videos. But people just always try to create space. Yeah, I know Professor G. We're in touch. He's very complimentary of my content, and I appreciate that. We do have one disagreement there. Well, a couple we've had, but one disagreement we have is that he gives advice for people with H-2A visas to stay in America and overstay their visa and apply for asylum. He's an asylum attorney, and that's his advice. I'm not an attorney, so you can take whatever advice you want. You can listen to him. You're welcome to. You can listen to me. You can listen to neither one of us. But my argument, I disagree with him about the position. His argument is that if you go back to the States and then you, from the States on H-2, and you go back and you apply for the refugee program, then you're not going to have a good argument that you fear for your life because obviously you went back to South Africa. But I don't agree with that argument. I'm not an attorney, but I have been a judge in cases, legal cases. So I don't agree with that logic. He's an attorney, so I disagree. Overstaying your visa is a bad idea. Applying for asylum, in my view, is a very bad idea. The success rate for asylum seekers is incredibly low. It's an adversarial process, which he admits, and you are defending yourself. You're not innocent. You're guilty until proven innocent in this case. And you're being seen by judges who aren't necessarily legal professors, legal scholars. They're just judges. They point people to be judges to this process. And also, it can take many, many years. And initially, you are not allowed to work. If you apply for asylum, you can't work until you have a permit as an asylee. And that takes minimum 5 months before you can apply, 6 months. So I don't know what happens to somebody that's already here working an H-2A visa. I think legally you're even allowed to work. You could put yourself in jeopardy. I'm not an expert on that. But we have a disagreement on that. So, and that's fine. Adults can disagree, Darlene. The Bucks are playing Georgia. That's correct, in Nelspread. Leslie Groenewald, welcome to you. Charles Boyson, shocked to see the 33 million Americans practice yoga. Why? He probably gives that advice to H-2A guys because of what he has seen in court. Maybe judges frown upon that. Well, humanoid cell, I'm sure they do, but judges aren't germane. Let me explain. You don't go to an immigration judge. You don't go to an asylum judge when you apply for refugee status. It's all handled administratively by PRM, Population Resettlement Migration Bureau of the State Department. You don't deal with anyone. So I don't understand the argument. I mean, so that logic would be, I mean, let me run that logic through, okay? Again, people don't run off and start whining about Professor G, okay? Because someone's going to do this. Let me run the logic through. Many people have H-2A visas and come here multiple times. Come for 6 months, work, go home. Come back, 6 months, go home. All right? Bad things happen in their life, but they still go home to South Africa and they follow our law. Then they apply for a visa and come back. So since they've done this for 5 or 6 years or 10 years, if they apply for refugee status now because they've gone back to Southern Pass, does that mean that they're not eligible? It's not dangerous for them? If the basis for the refugee claim is they had unjust racial persecution 10 years ago, and they've been coming to the States and going back, I mean, the logic doesn't make any sense to me, humanoid cell. It doesn't make any sense. Look, I am a scholar, and I can think cogently, and I just don't buy that argument. But, you know, and again, a judge has no bearing on your refugee status. None. It's all done administratively. It's based on a credible incident or a credible fear of future persecution and the things that qualify you, a South African citizen in South Africa, and that's the other thing. Yeah, so in South Africa, and that you pass a medical and a security check, background check, and then you get it. No judges involved, man. No judges. Cape Town was found. Never knew it was originally a restocking station. Oh yeah, of course, Mark. That's what it was. That's the whole reason for it. The Portuguese sailed around the Cape for a long time. They tried to stop, and they got in a fight with the Strandlopers, who defeated them. And they said, screw this. We're not stopping here. These people are mean. And they left. A bunch of Portuguese were killed when they tried to land. They got in a fight with them. So the Dutch in 1652, because they needed a way station to rest, refit, repair ships, and get, you know, correct vitamins so that guys weren't getting sick at sea. That's why they created it. It was a refitting station. Absolutely. Cape of Good Hope. Yep. That's why it's not in False Bay. It's in Cape Town because it actually had the deep harbor. It's also prettier there than False Bay. I agree with you, Chris. Do things right, honest way. You'll reap the benefits. Trying to take shortcuts and find loopholes is not worth it. It's only backfire. Pretty sure the White Donald will go after those applying for asylum after having been in the States on H-2A in time. Nathan, I'm not sure what you're saying. I think you're saying that the Trump administration will pursue them to remove them if they overstay. Is that what you're saying? Dina Oosthuizen, good evening to you. Take vitamin D3 and K2 at night, magnesium glycinate. I hadn't even heard of that before. He's giving advice on the refugee program. Well, that's his prerogative. He's also done that before. It's his prerogative. He's a lawyer. But as he freely admits, the process is very different. I'm not a lawyer, and I freely admit that. Yes, Portuguese were attacked at Salt River, and it didn't go well for them, did it, Theo? It did go well. Bartholomew Diaz, yes. The embassy website says you have to be in South Africa to apply. You cannot apply if you're outside the country. Does it actually say that? I don't recall it saying that. Maybe they've updated. I just gave someone a link this morning because and that's what I said. That's what the law says. I mean, that's how the program is. You can't apply from a third country for a refugee status. That's what the law says. But the odd thing, I mean, that's where you're in a camp, something like that. But the thing is that when they started this, the Google Forms ask what country you're in. So I don't know. I don't know. Trim your beard. I feel fine. Sticker to, if I understand from Professor D's recent video, he said that economic reasons such as BE are not really reasons for refugees. No, they're not. Who said BE was? The fact that the law is there isn't a basis. However, if you've been denied employment or lost a contract or had to give away equity in your business, that's unjust racial discrimination. Quite frankly, this whole argument is silly because I'm not aware of anybody being denied. I don't know of a single person in South Africa who's applied for refugee status who has been turned down. I'm not saying there's no one, but I've spoken to U.S. government officials and I've got no indication that there is anyone that's been denied so far who's been processed. So I really don't understand what people are so freaking out about. I mean, if so far it appears, I'm not stating this unequivocally, but it appears the success rate for those who are eligible, not fraudsters, those who are eligible, the success rate appears to be 100%. Now match it up against the 2023 asylum cases in South Africa for South Africans, and the approval rate was 11%. 11%. And you don't get all the benefits that refugees get. So anyway, you all make your own decisions. I'm not here for you. You make your decisions. That's on you. But anyway, but if you were denied things because of BE, then that is a basis for it. But back to my point, the way that the executive order is written, there's not even a need to prove anything. But they've asked for it. I don't know why. Trump basically created a priority 2 category of people, Afrikaners. But since it's been open to a wider group, perhaps that's why you have to prove these things now. Because originally it was open to Afrikaners suffering unjust racial discrimination. And I said that should probably be all ethnic minorities. And in fact, they turned it into all racial minorities. Yeah. Phoenix, 140 Rand. Challenge accepted. What did Erica put in as a challenge? Oh, challenge all subscribers to match or super chat more to support Chris. I reached my 5 months membership. Oh, cool. Thank you, Erica. Yep. I don't know why you think I don't feel well, Tame. Okay. Fitnut's back. Good day, Colonel and the White Army. Why do the canines always get center spot? Best watching the rugby from halfway line. Well, because the canines are on 4 legs, and when they start moving, they can get away very fast. If you put the canines on the wings, they disappear, and then you can't find them. They go running around to the hot dog stand and to the toilets, and you can't find them. So if we put the canines in the middle, it gives us a chance to corral them because they've got 4 legs and they can run a lot faster than we can. We put the Neanderthals on the left and the right-wing podcasters on the right, but we just put the canines in the middle. It's just easier to keep them under control. I hope that makes sense. Statement interest says South Africa or other. Exactly. That's Maddie. That's what I'm saying. So that's what the statement interest, which puzzled me from the very beginning. If Cafe Clutch is still running on WhatsApp, could a link be posted, please? If one of the mods has got a link to that. This is talking on interview, and what he said made sense to me. But again, will follow my heart and answer from my experience what I feel threatened. Well, is Professor G interviewed some refugees who've gone through the process? Is that where he's talking? Or is he talking about the asylum process? I don't know. Moss Bay was discovered by the Portuguese. They got lost. Yeah, they also got shipwrecked. There's shipwrecks there. I've seen one of the anchors from one of the ships. Lost my job because of a lying Congolese who started working 11 months after me. Well, there you go, Theo. I doubt anyone will admit to being denied. I disagree, Fitnut. I disagree. I think the people who were not denied are going to claim they were denied. That's what I'm expecting to see. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. Perhaps the people you will be seeing will show you how to use great supplements to assist your muscles. Okay. Phoenix, thank you. What's that? Thank you for that super chat. Is this a news broadcast refugee stream? Haha, Pablo, why are you here? Be careful of Trump sending criminals to Swaziland. Some escape and go to South. Yeah, of course they will. It's easy to get across the border. Amount of chemicals taken daily. Yeah. Are the U.S. authorities not deporting those who have overstayed seasonal visas? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Thank you, Nathan James Thompson. My documents I have as proof for several written letterheads being denied. There you go. There you go, Virtual Western Cape. You're not going to have any trouble. Yes, Tame and Paula, I know you were joking. I didn't take it seriously. Thank you for being a champion. You're welcome, Sean. I keep seeing posts about international arrest warrant for Ramaphosa. There's no such thing as fake news. If it were true, it would be headline news in American media outlets. A head of state with an arrest warrant. When they issued an arrest warrant in Spain for Augustino Pinochet, it was worldwide news. It was endlessly reported. He was a head of state, and so they issued that arrest warrant. Every news outlet covered it. Nobody's covering this. It's all fake news. More YouTube or AI-generated BS. Maze, if somebody feels the need to put down another, then it's usually about them. True. My friend's congressman advised me not to apply for asylum refugee as a golden opportunity. Yeah. Fit Night, welcome to you. Employers, employers. Okay, here, let me put this in perspective, okay? All right. Let me put this in perspective for you. If you are an H-2A visa and you overstay and apply for asylum, your chances of getting are slim, and it's a long process, which has legal cost and a lot of bumps in the road. Okay. If you are an H-2A visa, you go back to South Africa and apply for the refugee status and get denied, okay, but you can still come back to America on H-2A visa. If you come to America on H-2A visa, overstay and apply for asylum, and then get denied asylum and get deported, you'll never come back to America ever again. Never come back to America ever again. So you make your own decisions, all right? You make your own decisions. Janine, direct quote from website under for guy's question. You must be located outside the United States to access a referral to the U.S. Yes. Well, what that doesn't say, Janine, is it doesn't say you can be an H-2A visa holder currently in the United States on temporary employment, fill out a statement, and then travel back to South Africa for your appointment. It doesn't say you can't do that. I don't know, but that doesn't say it. Cheslin Colby. Who's talking about Cheslin Colby? Carte Blanche, you're doing the interview. I sent you a link. An interview on what, Fitnut? Saw TikTok today that Putin and Zelensky have a UFC fight. You might be seeing a book called The Sunburnt Queen. Young shipwrecked English girl who became a queen of the coast. Never heard that. Must be a fiction. Sounds interesting, though. All right. Trying to catch up here. Patches. Okay. When they see that you overstayed a visa, they deny your extra. Yeah, you're denied forever. You can't come back. No, not Lady Pondor. Why is not Lady Pondor speaking at the UN? She's a nobody. I don't think he interviewed anyone. He was talking about the refugee program interview. I think he called it a hamburger. Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen it. I guess I'll have to go watch it. Just want to know if I did the refugee application on my phone, will it go through? I don't know what you're talking about, Andre. There's no application. There's a statement of interest. What are you talking about in an application? Did someone send you an application? I don't know about that. It doesn't matter what you use, a tablet or a phone or a PC or a laptop, whatever you use to access the statement of interest, when you fill it out, it's a Google form. It goes. My recommendation to people is screen capture or take a print screen and save the image of every screen you fill out before you send it. And then you know what you sent them. I mean, so many people tell me, I put the wrong number on there. I don't think they put the wrong number. They're just being impatient. So I has 3 days to challenge the national dialogue. 3 days. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous. 3 days. Thoughts on our authorities forcing Meta to disclose members of shady social media groups, using that as a precedent to pursue those in groups like these? I'm not familiar with that, Nathan. How can they force them without, excuse me? Spam. It's a counterpoint of view about and applying for asylum. May be worth watching the video to see his point of view. Okay, all right. Is military intelligence officers, immigration law something you natively know a lot about, or is an interest you have picked up being deployed so much? Well, immigration law is not something I would have known about as a military officer. There's no impact on me whatsoever. However, the law is something that I have as an intelligence professional that's of interest to me because it bears on the holistic approach to operational readiness and security. The issue of immigration and refugees and asylum is something I've dealt with a long time. As I've said repeatedly, I have been involved directly in an asylum case here in America for a Congolese woman because I got dragged into it because I was the only one who spoke French fluently. Thank you, Reddick. It's been a while to see you there. Thanks for your assistance. Your wife extremely, you're very welcome. I'm glad you are, you're excited. So glad to hear you're excited. Thank you for the 200 Rand. So I have direct experience in that. Now that's a one-off. That isn't a lifetime of experience with asylum. But I've also been familiar with asylum because I've followed this for years. I mean, where's it at? Here, right here. It sits right here. I mean, I've researched and followed this topic for over 35, 40 years, ever since Reagan gave amnesty to 3 million Mexicans. I've been following. Here you go. Michelle Malkin's book, Open Borders, Who's Funding America's Destruction. I mean, I've researched and followed this issue of immigration and nationality forever. And so when Trump announced the refugee program, because I've been following this forever and I had some background and experience in it, I was able to, within 2 hours of Trump announcing his executive order, go live and speak for 3 hours and 40 minutes. And I thank you, Justin Ackerman, for subscribing. And yet to be proven wrong on that broadcast. But no, not from the military, Mark. Can the numbers be posted from Kenya? No, they can't. They can't. No. Those people are not allowed to share that information. If they do, they risk their status. Thanks, Chris, for all your assistance to us. You're welcome, Reddick. I'm battling to get my smart ID. I'm sure my green salutate... Huh? All right, enough of the refugee bullshit. I'm not talking about refugee. This isn't refugee, okay? You guys, Sunday, okay? Portuguese the first to colonize Africa and the first Europeans to leave. Actually, they weren't the first to colonize Africa. The first to colonize Africa were the Greeks. The Greeks were first. I'm skipping anything you guys put in here, refugee. I'm just not answering this stuff anymore. It's time for the news. People get angry and leaving because they can't hear the news. All right, let's start off with those of you who are obsessed with the Epstein files. Congratulations, you're going to get your way. You're going to get your way. Of course, once you get your way, just like February 23rd, when the right-wing podcasters got their way, Scott Pressler and company, and then they are angry at Trump, even though they got the information they asked for. The Epstein files were released on February 23rd, but apparently that's not enough for people. So, whoops, Bob. Sorry, Bob. Go back there. Bob, we're not talking to you right now. Here we go. So now Trump asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to seek the release of any and all pertinent grand jury testimony around Epstein investigation. President Trump has asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to unseal pertinent testimony related to accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein as he appeared to bow to pressure to release more material in the case. Based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. He put that out last night. She said she could start doing it as early as today, but she has to have the approval from a judge. Yep. We are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. It came hours after Wall Street Journal published a report detailing a birthday letter sent to Epstein in 2003 bearing Trump's name. Of course, he says that's fraudulent. It was typed. He doesn't send typed letters. Anyway, so for those of you that want the Epstein stuff, yay, good. So when this is over and you've got your information, there's nothing burger there. Can we move on to Butler, please? And move on to the corruption in the Biden regime and censoring Americans using proxies? Can we cover that, please? Do you like a news app for Android? I don't do Apple, but it's an idea I'm playing with. I'll ask the Colonel, of course. First, just want a feeling. You mean what? An app for me to publish things? Are you an app, a Colonel's app? Is that what you're getting at, Culinary Pirates? That's interesting. I like the concept of that. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that's why I don't ask refugee questions. Thank you, Vikas. Okay. Yeah, well, Niv, I'm not surprised because this pressure has been mounting. From where I stand, I'm innocent. Accused corruption Minister of Police Senzo Mkunu deserves the presumption of innocence, and he's claiming that he is innocent. Yes. Embattled Police Minister Senzo Mkunu, who has been placed on leave of absence, a paid holiday, has welcomed with both hands President Ramaphosa's decision to establish a judicial commission of inquiry into South African police service. Now, if Senzo Mkunu is crooked and guilty, of course he welcomes it. We all remember the Zondo Commission. Who's gone to jail for Zondo? Nobody. We all remember the VBS scandal. The only person who went to jail for VBS scandals, to my knowledge, was the white banker who was dumb enough to get involved with the EFF. Because he pled guilty. Madiba Magic on Mandela Day. Yes, please take 67 minutes to do something positive for your community. That's a plan, and it celebrates Nelson Mandela's 67 years of purported public service. Kindness, humility, and a spirit of Ubuntu are personal traits associated with Tata Mandela and are set to be displayed across the bay as dozens of institutions, businesses, and residents roll up their sleeves in honor of 67 minutes for Mandela Day. Yes. So once a year, we can all get together and do something positive for our communities. Why don't you do something positive for your community every day? South Africa is not a failed state. Yep. Market commenters in the Independent Line say it's not a failed state. According to Old Mutual chief economist Johan Els, the country does not meet the definition of failed state when assessed against key economic indicators. Well, the definition of failed state is fluid and it's subjective. Different people have different standards for failed state. So what standards is he using? According to Old Mutual chief economist Johan Els, the country does not meet the definition. Yet the 2024 Edelman Trust Barometer found that only 22% of South Africans trust government institutions do what is right. Wow. South Africa recorded $11.7 billion in direct investment inflows in the first quarter of 2025, according to the South African Reserve Bank. They attribute it to the resilience of the strong legal and regulatory systems. That's nonsense. Strong legal systems. Wow. When the PI Act can be used to just steal people's property and people are expropriating property, then the government's doing nothing about it. Yeah, I don't think there's a strong legal system here. There isn't a strong legal system. Oh my goodness. Ramaphosa said the government of national unity must ensure South Africans retain their faith in democracy. It's like a comedy hour, folks. I'm serious. It's oh, is he serious? I mean, come on. It's not even, you can't even take this stuff seriously, can you? I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Cyril's needle is stuck in the groove, man. Cyril's needle is stuck in the groove. What are you going to say? Cyril, your needle is stuck in the groove. Round and round, but you never move.
Your needle is stuck in the groove. Round and round, but you never move. Promises echo like a hollow tune. Under the sun, but we can't see noon. Broken records spin and play. Oh, but the song fades away. Oh, the groove is deep,
but the melody's lost.
We're paying the price, but at what cost? South African hearts beat heavy and slow, while the instinct belly just grows and grows. Misery's a shadow that won't let go. Poverty blooms where the wild winds blow.
All of my music is on Spotify, Weezer. You can buy it at Amazon and iTunes. This is Stuck in the Groove about Cyril Ramaphosa. Music is on Spotify under DJ Silver Eagle. Stuck in the Groove in honor of Cyril Ramaphosa. Yes, who's definitely stuck. His needle is stuck in the groove, folks. Yep, there you go. All right, we lost 50 people who did want to hear the music. Beware of fake Mkwanazi accounts, folks. Beware of fake accounts. Yeah, being warned by SAPs. Got to be discerning out there when you see things online, because it isn't what it's cracked up to be. Yes, Times Live says fake, fake, fake. KwaZulu-Natal police have warned social media users about several fake social media accounts which claim to be Provincial Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nandla Mkwanazi. The accounts which use his name and photographs of him have been created on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. They're being used to deceive the public into believing there's a provincial commissioner communicating via such platforms. Though police are contemplating legal steps against those who impersonate, the public is informed those profiles are fake, and neither KZN police nor the commissioner have endorsed such fake accounts. Well, but what's the deal with what the MK party said? Today was their deadline. It is now nearly 7 o'clock in South Africa. Has MK filed a motion of no confidence against Ramaphosa? Not that I'm aware of. Let's go check into the news and see if there's an update since I went live. Let me just check. Ooh, it would be on Cockprat 24 for certain if it happened. FlySAF Air pilots have announced a 2-week strike from Monday. Okay, that's happening. Nothing here about MK's empty threats. Yep. More than 200 SAF Air pilots will go on strike next week. Wow. For 2 weeks. In a statement on Friday, Solidarity said the strike will start on Monday after it was able to finalize strike rules at the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation, Arbitration. Well, that's not good. That's not good, folks. SAF Air is going on strike. They promised. It looks like they're going to follow through. Unlike MK, which didn't follow through. Donald Trump's tariffs could cost South Africa 100,000 jobs, says Enoch Gondwana. And I take exception to that. Nope. The ANC's arrogance will cost South Africa more than 100,000 jobs. Yes, much more. No, it's not Donald Trump's tariffs. It's the ANC's failure to negotiate a trade deal. Yeah, we heard from the central bank governor saying potentially if the current deal, the tariffs stay in place, 100,000 jobs could be at stake. It's going to be a lot more than 100,000, folks. A lot more than 100,000. We're talking 500,000 or more, most likely. So these people are clueless. They're downplaying the threat. And they're trying to blame Trump. The tariffs are in place because South Africa's failed to negotiate in good faith. In fact, they've just failed to negotiate, period. Just pay for your flight on Tuesday. My goodness. Well, that sucks, Garrett. South African Airlines had a loss yet again. Surprise, surprise. 431 million accounting error. How do you make a 431 million rand accounting error? It shows you how inept this airline is. Reported sizable loss on Thursday for its 2024 year despite a climb in flights and revenue. Airlines said the results were impacted by increasing jet fuel costs and delays in global aircraft shortages. But really, it's because their accountants are useless and misallocated 431 million rand. So they had a 354 million rand loss. This is a horrific story. A woman accused of running over a girl with her car at a Zulu ceremony gets 5,000 rand bail. The story seems weird and implausible. A 68-year-old woman accused of culpable homicide after running a 14-year-old girl over with her car during a traditional coming-of-age ceremony in Hamilton, Gauteng last month has been released on 5,000 rand bail. Martha van der Walt appeared in the Germiston Magistrates Court after she handed herself over to police today. Her lawyer told journalists that she was concerned about public perception and claims that she had deliberately run Pretty Malangu over. Lawyer also said it was unnecessary to have a warrant issued for her arrest, but the court heard that the warrant was issued after the initial case against her was withdrawn, pending further investigation. Once the investigations were completed, the matter was re-enrolled and resulting in a warrant. According to Malangu family spokesperson, the girls who were with Malangu at the coming-of-age ceremony held for Nlanda Sibetle, 16, told him that minutes before the incident, Vanderveld stopped her car near to them. She asked, "Why are the girls partially dressed with their breasts not covered?" The girls replied they were celebrating their Zulu culture. Then she ran Malangu over. Okay. This is horrific. Using a car as a weapon. But that doesn't make any sense. So she just pulled over. "Hey, why are the girls not dressed properly?" "Oh, Ma, they're just celebrating their culture." "Oh, okay." Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. The whole story doesn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, it appears that this little girl is dead, and that's horrific. That's horrific. That's horrific. Well, World Rugby confirms that what the Springboks did against Italy should have resulted in a penalty, which is what Nigel Owen said. So Nigel didn't have it out for the Bucks. He was just answering questions. World Rugby awaited on the Springboks' controversial ploy to force a scrum with the first action of the match against Italy. World champions caused quite a stir last Saturday when Monty Libbik got the game underway with a short chip kick to Andre Esthuizen, with the ball failing to travel the required 10 meters. Referee Andrew Brace deemed that the only action that warranted a scrum to Italy, an argument that has been forwarded that South Africa deliberately executed the ploy, which should have led to a penalty. Upon the request of Federazione Italiana Rugby, the Italian Rugby Federation, World Rugby have provided clarity on what the correct decision should have been, with Brace ultimately getting the call wrong, according to the game's governing body. "We are writing in reference to the very first action of the South Africa-Italy game in Port Elizabeth, specifically the kicking that initiated the game. We've reviewed the footage carefully, and a question has come up regarding the legality of the play under Law 9.7a, which states a player must not intentionally infringe any law of the game." Well, that's a pretty big grab basket of anything you can go after. Anyway, so they said that the Springboks got it wrong, and so did Andrew Brace. Anyway, well, it's not Trump's dumping ground. This is feedback we're getting from some folks in Africa. Outrage over the arrival of foreign U.S. deportees in tiny African nation. Across Africa and in the tiny nation of Eswatini, fury has erupted over the arrival of foreign deportees from the United States after its government confirmed that migrants described they're not migrants, they're criminal alien invaders, by the Department of Homeland Security spokesman as depraved monsters had been sent to its prisons. Roughly the size of New Jersey, Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, is governed by an absolute monarch. Anyway. While the Trump administration mass deportations to prisons in El Salvador have made headlines, the White House has also been quietly attempting to strike agreements with a number of African countries to accept deportees. Well, we are not your dumping ground. Okay, cool. I'll accept that. I don't think they should be sent to Eswatini. Well, Eswatini says they are taking them, and they're working with Trump and with the International Organization of Migration. Yep. It says they're going to send them home, even though Trump couldn't send them to their countries of origin like Vietnam, Jamaica, Laos, Yemen, and Cuba. Eswatini says they're going to facilitate their transit to their countries of origin, working. Specifically, government spokesman Tabile Mduli said in a statement that the governments of her country and the United States, together with the International Organization for Migration, will facilitate the transit of these inmates to their countries of origin. So that's interesting. A lot of people are complaining the United States is dumping these people in dangerous countries. Well, Eswatini is not a dangerous country. No. The International Organization of Migration has responded and said they are not involved in Eswatini's plan for the deportees. They don't know what they're talking about. The International Organization of Migration is not involved in the removal of third country migrants from the U.S. to Eswatini, has not been contacted for help to send them back home. That's a UN agency tasked with ensuring that migration, whether for economic reasons or owing to disasters, humanitarian emergencies, is managed in a way that respects human rights. Well, that's the theory anyway. So they say they're not involved. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cover tomorrow's Rugby Africa Cup. Yep, this is a race to the World Cup, and it will decide the African representative, in addition to South Africa, that goes to the Rugby World Cup in Australia in 2027. Excited about it? So, guess what? Going to cover the game tomorrow, and hopefully it ends in time for the Springbok game, because that's on at 9. The Springbok game is on 11. So, Namibia and Zimbabwe will reach the final step in the race to the World Cup. There you go. Zimbabwe's tight 29-23 victory over Kenya in the semifinals was the highlight of the day as the two old foes went toe-to-toe for 80 minutes in a match that kept the cavernous crowd on its feet. Tries by inside center Brandon Mududzikinzi and scrum half and captain Hilton Mudriki, as well as eighth man Jason Frazier, were complemented by 14 points from star fly half Ian Pryor. Meanwhile, Namibia won its game as well. Namibia defeated Algeria 21-7, and so they are within sight of their 8th World Cup appearance. So tomorrow I'll be covering that game on Rugby and Senate, and then I cover the Springboks. Okay? So tune in for that. We just got more brown because of this. What are you talking about, Niv? France signals a willingness to discuss reparations for colonial massacres in Niger. Now, this is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. France bears no responsibility for the actions of people over a century ago, 126 years ago. Not the response, not the result, or not the obligation of Frenchmen today. French government says it is open to dialogue, but does not acknowledge responsibility in a letter seen by The Guardian. More than a century after its troops burned villages and looted cultural artifacts in the quest to include Niger in the West African colonial portfolio, France has signaled willingness over possible restitution, but has not yet acknowledged responsibility. Why is it that only Europe, Australia, the United States, these Western nations, why are they the only ones that have to pay reparations for horrific abuses in warfare? African tribes aren't responsible. Papua New Guineans aren't responsible for cannibalism. You know, these other countries that have murdered and looted and stolen, that just gets swept under the carpet. This is ridiculous. In 1899, French officers led by Captain Paul Voulet and Julien Chanon marched with African soldiers under their command through communities in present-day Niger. They killed thousands of unarmed people and looted supplies, terrorizing local people into compliance. Next year, Niger officially became absorbed into the French West Africa. So, my goodness. The matter of monetary compensation is yet to be addressed by the community's exact number of victims remains unknown. However, the historian and former higher education minister Mamadou Djibou is adamant that the things are not at that stage. So, should Israel demand reparations from Italy for what the Romans did in destroying the Jews in Israel, in Judea? Should they demand that? Excuse me? Take a hike, you're clueless. What the hell are you babbling on about? What are you babbling on about, Niv? Yes, Spain was colonized by Muslims for centuries. So should we demand reparations from Saudi Arabia? It's ridiculous. The Balkans were colonized by the Ottomans. Do we going to demand reparations? Stupid. Oh, he's talking to Pablo. Well, you need to include Pablo's name in there. And you all need to stop bickering in the chat. France is ending its permanent troop presence in Senegal. I covered this already, and now there'll be no French troops left anywhere in Africa except for Djibouti, once based in 6 or 7 countries, and they had 6 battalions located across Africa, 2 in Ivory Coast. Now there are none. France handed over control of its last major military facility in Senegal on Thursday, marking the end of its armed forces' long presence in the West African country and a milestone in the withdrawal from a wider region. Well, the African Union, in case you didn't know it, has themed 2025 the year of reparations, and they can shove it. They can shove it. I want reparations for the effort we made in rebuilding Africa, even though we never colonized it. AU theme of the year 2025, justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. The AU has designated 2025 as year of justice for Africans. Yep. This initiative underscores AU's commitment to addressing historical injustice, including the transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, apartheid, and genocide. I'm sorry, the transatlantic slave trade? Notice they don't mention the Trans-Sahel slave trade, which went for 1,300 years, not 150 years. The Trans-Sahel slave trade, which led to the castration of millions of black Africans, sold into slavery by those very black Africans to Arabs. Yes. What about the slave trade in Zanzibar? What about that? What about that, AU? Funny how you conveniently forget the sins of the so-called people of color. Piss off. Footsec. Tighter border controls are making it difficult for many Africans to attend international conferences. That's unfortunate, but a consequence of their fellow countrymen not obeying their visas. Tighter border bars African activists from summits. Global South faces exclusion from decision-making as visa denials hinder participation in summits. Sudanese climate activist Roa should have been leading meetings with other youth advocates at UN Climate Conference in Germany. Instead, the 24-year-old was at home having wasted hundreds of dollars and nearly 2 months preparing a visa that was denied in less than 48 hours. Many of her peers, mostly from the global north, flew to the Bonn without a hitch. I was the one who was leading the whole process, but I wasn't on the ground. I cried a lot every night, Roa said. She asked her surname and location not be published. Knowing everyone is there at Bonn, but you are not there, maybe because your nationality gives you a bad feeling, like I'm less than those people. No, it's not less than those people, but you come from a country where your fellow countrymen don't adhere to the visa they've been granted, so you have to suffer the penalty, which is unfortunate. Clashes erupted in Syria, in Suwada, between the Bedouin and Druze fighters. Heavy fighting has flared up again between the Druze and Bedouin tribes in the rest of southern Syrian province of Suwada as another ceasefire has collapsed today after Syrian troops pulled out of the area. Syria is such a mess, such a basket case. It's not improving. Things are not getting better. It's sad. Mike Huckabee sends a warning, fires a shot across the bow of the Israeli government, who are now denying visas to Christian groups. Huckabee threatens to declare Israel does not welcome Christians as visa row blows open. U.S. envoy pens a scathing letter to Interior Minister accusing Israel of blocking Christian groups from entering Israel and warning of reciprocal steps against Israel visa seekers. Here's the letter from the Embassy of the United States, dated July 16th. It's with great distress that I write to you my profound disappointment that the meeting held in your office has not resulted in what I'd hoped to be a simple resolution of the issue of routine granting of visas for Christian organizations and workers, as has been practiced for decades. I left the meeting with a very positive feeling that we had resolved the issue that necessitated that meeting. It had appeared that a staffing change in the Ministry of Interior resulted in an employee changing the long practice process of granting visas to Christian organizations. The situation has actually gotten worse. Wow. So Israel is stepping on their crank. Bad move. China has set their quotas for 2025 for rare earth exports, and they're not disclosing it publicly, but apparently they've eased it a little bit. Quotas are closely monitored as a barometer for global supply chain of rare earths. 17 elements used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, robots, and missiles. China is the world's largest producer of minerals, and the government typically issues them twice a year to state-owned companies. But the pressure from Trump, they threatened to make things bad. South Korea has been buffeted by heavy rain, 4 dead at least, and over 1,000 people evacuated as floods take place. Driver was killed after a 10-meter high roadside wall collapsed on top of his moving vehicle on Wednesday in Osan, 45 kilometers south of Seoul. Look at all that rain. Wow. Downpours resulted in record rainfall, and more wet weather was forecast yesterday. Not looking good in South Korea. Well, the tariff war must end quickly, says Germans. Yeah, well, they're right about that. German finance minister tells G7 partners in Durban that this is Lars Klingbeil. He made clear that it's got to end. He said, I also want to say very clearly there will be no deal at any price, and there should be no victory at any price. Well, that's fine. Your economy is a lot more susceptible to tariffs than ours is, so we'll see how that goes for the Germans. The G20 folks in Durban, finance chiefs back central bank's independence as they seal a communique. Finance chiefs for the group of 20 countries stressed the importance of a central bank independence in a communique issued Friday following a 2-day meeting in South Africa's coastal city of Durban. Ministers and central bankers pledged to boost cooperation as they sealed their first communique since October 2024. Here's the problem, folks. Central banks should be independent, but when they're rogue, like Jerome Powell, and they're harming an economy, what is the value of them being independent? It certainly calls into question. Canada has decided to limit steel imports from everywhere around the world except the U.S. and Mexico. That's interesting. I guess that's because the U.S.-Canada-Mexico trade agreement must be playing a role here. Canada introduced limits on how much foreign steel produced in countries other than the U.S. and Mexico can be imported, as the Liberal government tries to help a domestic center reeling from Trump's 50% tariffs on Canadian steel. So why are we importing steel from Canada but exporting to Canada? Doesn't make any sense. I guess there's different types of products. President Trump will sue the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch, and I hope he gets $1 billion. I hope he gets $1 billion. Trump said he had personally warned the Wall Street Journal's owner, Rupert Murdoch, and its editor-in-chief, Emma Tucker, that the letter was fake, calling the story false, malicious, and defamatory. But they ran it anyway because they have no sense of decorum. They're just evil media outlet. No sense of morality whatsoever. President Trump said Thursday he would sue the Wall Street Journal and its owner over a new bombshell report about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Yep. So, he's suing them. Good for him. Chevron closes a mega deal for the Hess Oil Company after winning an arbitration against Exxon. Arbitrators said Chevron could clinch the $53 billion acquisition of Hess after Exxon tried to preempt the deal. An arbitration panel cleared the way for Chevron to complete its $53 billion purchase of Hess, dismissing ExxonMobil's claim that it had a contractual right to bid for Hess's crown jewel assets in Guyana. This is the big discovery off the coast of South America. Exxon's move to block the deal stunned the oil industry, which hadn't seen Titanic oil companies battle through these extremes since a court fight with Pennzoil forced Texaco into bankruptcy back in the 1980s. Just hours after Friday's decision was announced, Chevron said that it closed its deal for Hess and that it plans to nominate John Hess, the smaller company's longtime chief executive, to its board. Well, the Hess family is sold out. They've sold out. They betrayed their shareholders, and now they're gone. Doctors react to Trump's alleged health concerns as photos show swelling and bruising. After photos circulated recently of President Trump's apparently swollen legs and bruised hand, doctors are speaking about potential causes and concerns. In an effort of transparency, on Thursday, White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt shared a note from Trump's physician after he underwent a comprehensive examination by the White House Medical Unit. That's not good. All right, folks. Now, this one I kind of have a problem with, okay? This is something my government's doing. So for those who say that it's just the love fest with Trump, once again, we're criticizing the Trump administration here, so pay attention. Nev, no need to apologize. Just stop arguing with the guy, okay? You don't need to apologize, Nev. Just stop arguing with him. Pablo, Charlie, are you the culprit? Knock it off, okay? All right? If you don't like what people have to say, if they're not being disrespectful to you, then just get over it, folks, okay? All right, so let's focus on the news, please. You guys have chased over 200 viewers away from my stream with your argument. Next time, you both get a timeout. Travelers to the U.S. must pay a new $250 visa integrity fee. It's refundable if you leave, but you have to pay $250 fee. That's crazy. Visitors to the United States will need to pay a visa integrity fee according to provision in the Big Beautiful Bill. It applies to all visitors who need non-immigrant visas to enter and cannot be waived. You also can get it reimbursed. The fee will be at least $250 during fiscal year 2025, beginning 1 October. Wow. If an H-1B worker already paying a $205 application fee may now have to be expected to pay a total of $455 once this fee is in place. Wow. To get their money back, visa holders must comply with conditions of visa, which includes not accepting unauthorized employment and not overstaying their visa validity date by more than 5 days. Reimbursements will be made after the travel visa expires. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. The idea is to discourage economic migrants. You get a visa and you have to pay that extra money, but you get the money back. That's crazy. That's all right, Nev. Yeah, next time you actually, folks, if you're in the chat, let me interrupt for a moment. If you're in the chat and somebody's saying something you don't like, you can go and hit the radial 3 buttons and you can block them so you can't see them anymore. Okay? All right? If they're bothering you. Anyway. Devastating. The loss of my tax money to support leftist propaganda. Oh, I'm so heartbroken. U.S. public broadcasters condemn Trump's cuts to key programs. PBS chief says cuts package goes against the will of the American people as smaller outlets could face total closure. Well, too bad. Too bad. You shouldn't have been leftist drivel for so long. House signed off on the bill earlier this morning after Wednesday's key decision by the Senate, effectively slashing public broadcasting as well as foreign aid. These cuts will significantly impact all of our stations, but will be especially devastating to smaller stations and those serving large rural areas. Many of our stations, which provide access to free, unique local programming and emergency alerts, will now be forced to make hard decisions in the weeks and months ahead. Yeah, well, lots of people provide emergency alerts. That's not a good excuse for keeping you open at my expense. And here you go. These are the areas at risk of losing public radio and television access. So, cities with vulnerable stations, and then that's little dots, and then the area colored in are the ones with the zip code that goes around it. So you can see that much of the Southwest is affected and the Northern Plains states. television. This is national public broadcasting, and these are the places affected. So there you go. Well, I have very little empathy because they brought this on themselves. Taxpayers should not be paying for broadcasting. Advertising and user fees should pay for that. United States says it has, in fact, destroyed that 500 tons of expired food. State Department says that destruction of 500 metric tons of emergency food aid that was stored in a warehouse in the Middle East was required because it expired, and the move will not affect distribution of similar assistance going forward. The high-energy biscuits used primarily to provide immediate nutritional needs for children in crisis situations have been stored in Dubai. Yeah, well, why wasn't it moved before the people were let go? Because they intentionally left it there. Trump says Coke with cane sugar is on its way, but Americans seem fine with the current version. No, we don't. I don't know where you're doing your polls at here, Market Watch. Yep. Does Coca-Cola made with cane sugar really taste better than the U.S. version? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But they claim that they've got market research data that says people like the cane sugar. I don't know what people they're talking to. That definitely isn't the case. Border Patrol hiring spree is underway. They want 10,000 new officers. Yep. With Immigration Customs Enforcement now preparing to add 10,000 employees within 5 years, the Border Patrol's toward expansion serves as cautionary tale. They expanded early in the 2000s. Hiring and training standards were changed, and arrests for employee misconduct rose. Pressure to turbocharge growth can also lead to attrition. That's true. That's true. When you lower standards, you get riffraff, and so don't lower the standards. CBS, oh, folks, I know you're heartbroken about this. David Letterman's iconic Late Show is gone because the annoying bigot Stephen Colbert is being let go. Oh, what a tragedy. What a tragedy. This is all going away, host Stephen Colbert said while taping his Thursday show. The network said the show would end in May when host Stephen Colbert's current contract expires. Colbert announced the news to the audience attending the taping of Thursday night's show and posted a message on social media. He said he found out Wednesday night CBS would end the show in May. The news was met with boos and catcalls from the audience. Well, that's because those sycophants love his boring-ass, bigoted jokes. But good riddance to him. Department of Defense is finally addressing its hideous DS login process, which is ridiculous, and it bans many retirees' family members from actually accessing their necessary information. Over the next 18 months, the Department of Defense will replace the legacy DS login system, which authenticates users onto more than 200 DoD and veterans' websites, with a more modern, flexible system called MyAuth, short for My Authorization. The new authentication system offers a range of features that will simplify the login process for about 20 million individuals who use it, including military personnel, DoD civilians, military and civilian retirees, family member beneficiaries, contractors, and vendors. It's based on a commercial product rebranded for the Defense Department, which provides cloud-based identity as a service. There you go. There you go. Schwab stock. By the way, who was it earlier? We working on an app. I'm drawing a blank right now. Send me a note. I like the idea of that. If it's an app I can control and I can populate, that'd be great. Well, Charles Schwab stock reached an all-time high as 1 million new brokerage accounts are boosting profits at the discount brokerage firm. Trading revenue increases 23% as clients stepped up their activity during April's Liberation Day sell-off. Yep. Schwab went 2% up. It said its profit for 3 months ending June 30th rose $1.98 billion or $1.08 a share from $4.69 billion to $5.84 a share from a year ago. Wow. The stock traded at a record close of $95.53. Wow. Wow. Well, it was above the $95. That was reached in January. A few years ago, I bought a small number of Charles Schwab shares. I'm glad I did. And that's the news for today. That's the news for today. All right. Please, folks, don't bicker in the chat. It's not much to ask. Coke with cane sugar does taste better. Absolutely. All right. Thanks for the news, Angelique Alabala. How's it going? Okay. Well, the news didn't start till late, so you might want to jump ahead. We got a late start on the news. We were chatting about other things. Hey, Lindy. How's it going? Colonel, on Threads, there's a picture, I'm sure, AI generated President Trump with underage girls. Of course, it's fake. It's fake. I love how real news gets forwarded to South Africans by the Colonel. You're welcome, Jacobus Brits. My pleasure. It's possibly adverts that's kicking people out of lives. I don't know who's getting kicked out of lives. What are we talking about? The Afrikaners should get compensation from British for... Yeah, exactly, Charlie. You can play this game all day long. should get reparations from ANC for all they've done the past 30 years. Vernon, I think that's a fair statement. I'm the only one that got kicked at the Colonel's live stream, but it's back now. Okay, sorry to hear that, Christopher Mayer. I'm glad you're back. Pablo says Ottoman Empire was peaceful conquest. What are you talking about? Who said the Ottoman Empire was peaceful? Where are you getting that from? You're being facetious, correct? You're being facetious. Scots deserve reparations for English. The Welsh deserve reparations for English. The Manx, the Corns, yeah, Cornish. Everybody deserves reparations. Except me. What's going on in Burkina Faso, Darlene? What are you talking about Burkina Faso? Indian president is... I don't know what's going on with this conversation between Pablo and Niv, but Indians are classified as Caucasian, in case that's what the question is. Indians are classified as Caucasian, if that means anything. Yeah, Germany's still paying Israel. Yeah, even though the Germans had nothing to do with it, those people are all dead. I want a flight on that C-17. Okay. Hey, Snob 120 or Sneb? Is it Sneb? Sneb, excuse me. I thought I said Snob. What's terrible? What are you guys talking about? SAA down the tubes. Yeah, of course. We lost thousands to one time, and then they closed. Mango took over from. Yep. Yes, ANC is to blame for the job losses, not Donald Trump. All right, that catches me up in the chat. I can't go any further back. Cool. So now we're caught up. Cycling Journeys, you're out of here. Well, sorry to see you go. Don't do soft drinks. Maybe come with a fresh Roman's pizza. Ah, Roman's pizza. I'm hungry. Don't tell me that. Bought Planetary shares beginning of the year. Are they really up 80%? I would never buy from them because they're racist. Every one of their they were just children. Are we talking about the same thing? Is that the guys with the exercise thing? If it's not them, I apologize. But whatever that exercise thing is, those guys are racist. That's what I'm talking about. They had an ad where the guy bought one for his wife, and the woke crowd lost their mind. Legion, thank you for the 70 rand. The woke crowd lost their mind because it was still during the woke era nonsense that was going on a few years ago. Oh my gosh, who is he? He bought this so his wife won't be fat. That's not what it was. He was worried about her health and fitness and bought it for her. And then that was a white couple. And after they got abused on that, they stayed off the adverts for a while. Then they came back, and every single advert is nothing but black people and gays. There's no white men whatsoever in their ads. So they can go screw themselves, along with a whole host of other corporations that are anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-male, anti-heterosexual. They can piss off. What if you're going to say, which other industries are you expecting to suffer the most? Marcel, I expect to see the banking industry suffer. I expect to see the wine industry suffer. I expect to see the citrus industry suffer. And then all ancillary industries. Trucking is going to take a big bite. And then suppliers are going to take a big bite too. So it's just going to have a knock-on effect. It's like starting one domino, and they all just tumble. Thank you, Culinary Pirates, for your membership. Roslyn Rosamos, you're welcome. Yes, Roy Pike, in South Africa, but I'm not talking about South Africa. I'm talking about America and the rest of the world. Indians are classified as Caucasian. Andre wants to hear music. Okay. Indians should always back the PLO. Yep. The world should have taken note. Yeah, I took note. Roma's Pizza is very good until we found it. Okay, thank you for ruining it for me, Lynette. You're not going to want it today on Bloomberg, looking stupid. I'm sure he is. Busy reading The Covenant. Oh, Kevin, I'm glad you're reading. It's a good book. You want me to play some music? Okay, we'll play some music to wrap it up. How about Jellyfish? Jellyfish Sway. We'll do Jellyfish Sway, and then we'll head out. How's that? Okay, Jellyfish Sway. I love Jellyfish Sway. Come on. Come on, where you at? There we go, Jellyfish Sway.
Blue lights flash, they're out of sync. Promises fade, gone in a blink. Wrong place, wrong time. What's the plan? Spinning words, but
by the way, I added 3 more songs last night.
Oh, jellyfish sway. Ooh, yeah. Floating promises drift away. South Africans cry. Dismay, dismay. Dance through the night, we'll find our way.
Synthesizers. Techno Club. Debonair's a Domino's, neither.
Empty words, a hollow glow. Where's the change they used to show? Protests rise but miss the mark. In the shadows it's cold and dark. Oh, jellyfish sway. Ooh, yeah. Floating promises.
I do, Maggie.
South Africans cry, dismay, dismay. Dance through the night, we'll find our way. Spin, spin, the tide rolls in. Lost in the chaos, where to begin? We're here and we'll rise, we'll take the floor. We've seen this game, won't play
Jellyfish Sway on Radio Afterlife. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today. Please tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. South Africa time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be the Africa Cup, Namibia versus Zimbabwe. I'll be covering that. Hopefully I can get the lineups. I haven't found them yet. I'll be covering that, and then hopefully it ends on time because I'm switching over to the Springboks after that, okay, on Rugby Ascendant. Why do I even bother coming and trying to ask the questions in the chat? Cheers. Well, how about you ask a question, CyberX? That's the first time you've written anything in the chat. I see nothing from you. Why are you going to come in here and troll like this? Why are you trolling? Why are you trolling? You didn't ask a freaking question. You didn't ask a single question. And you're going to come in here and complain that I'm not answering your questions. You didn't ask a single question. What is your question? Not a single question. You just pop in here and say, why do I even bother coming and trying to ask in the chat? You didn't ask anything. There's nothing here. Nothing here at all. Nothing. Nothing. And you're still not writing. See? Trolling. Trolling, trolling, trolling. All right. Merlot asked twice. Merlot asked what twice? No. No. There's no Merlot in the chat. I got Maggie Jensen's £5 or €5 super chat. Thank you for that. That was 5 minutes ago. No CyberX, no Merlot. Just come in at the end, try to start trouble. See? They're not responding. Neither one of them responding. Just looking for attention. Yep. Yep. I'm waiting. Nothing's coming. See that, folks? You see that? See how people do that crap? You see that? Come in here and try to troll late in the show. All right, folks, you'll be directed over to Ronaldo now if you want to go watch that. Thanks. And go ask your questions over there since you didn't ask them here and you claim that you've asked them. All right? Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Excuse me, Ronaldo, you asked what I was going to say about Trump. I've talked about Trump several times in the past hour and 35 minutes. What are you talking about? Watch the program. I've talked about Trump. I talked about Trump in a positive fashion. I talked about criticisms of Trump in this broadcast, criticizing him for Ukraine. I've talked about Trump at the very beginning. The first story I ran was a story on Trump at the beginning. The very first story I ran on the story today was about Trump. What are you talking about? Anyway, I don't have time for trolling. Cheers, everybody. Take care.